This is where we really get into the source material, pull out those key ideas, and basically give you the shortcut to getting up to speed. So today our mission is to extract the core insights from some excerpts we've got from a book called Project Management for the Unofficial Project Manager. Now, the author is Claudia Reid, and what's really flagged here is that it is described as a foundational resource for many project management professionals. Which is interesting, right? Because the title for the Unofficial Project Manager, well, it suggests one audience, but then being foundational for professionals. Okay, let's unpack this. How does that work?
It really does make you pause. Whenever something gets called foundational in, well, any field, really, it usually means its core ideas are just so solid, so applicable, that they resonate way beyond just one specific group. It suggests, a certain universality, regardless of official titles or formal training. It's hit on something fundamental.
Right, fundamental. So let's zoom in on that title then. Project Management for the Unofficial Project Manager. What's that telling us about how projects actually get managed out there in the real world?
Well, what's fascinating here is the title itself is a huge clue. It taps right into this common situation where people are, leading things, coordinating tasks, hitting deadlines, but they don't have project manager on their business card. Maybe they've never even had formal PM training. The book seems to be saying, hey, we see you, the person who's suddenly organizing the office move or launching a small internal initiative, it acknowledges that reality.
That makes a lot of sense. I think almost everyone can relate to suddenly being in charge of something complex without the formal role. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me though. If it's aimed at that unofficial manager, that person just figuring it out, why is it considered foundational for, as they say, many project management professionals? People with the training, the PMP certs, all of that.
Yeah, that's the crucial link. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it strongly implies that the principles in this book must be incredibly practical. They're likely stripped down to the essentials, perhaps cutting through some of the jargon you might find in more academic texts. Think about it. Maybe instead of complex methodologies, it focuses on core communication skills or simple ways to track progress, or like you said, just asking basic questions like, what are the risks here? Things that are valuable, whether you're, managing a huge budget or just that team volunteer day you mentioned earlier.
So it's about the core wisdom, the practical application, not necessarily the complex frameworks, making it accessible but also deeply relevant.
Exactly, and this raises an important question. Maybe truly effective project management isn't just about mastering specific formal tools or titles. Perhaps it leans more towards these adaptable skills, that core understanding of how to organize work and people to get something done. The fact that professionals find it foundational suggests it validates or maybe even reminds them of those core truths that work everywhere. It cuts across the formal and formal divide.
And that really brings us back to Claudia Reid, the author. It says a lot about her perspective and her ability to distill these ideas. To write something that resonates with someone accidentally managing a project and serves as a cornerstone for seasoned pros, that's quite an achievement. It really highlights her impact.
Definitely. It shows a deep understanding of what actually makes projects succeed, regardless of the label you put on the person leading them.
Okay, so let's try and sum up what we've unpacked in this deep dive. The key takeaway seems to be the unique position of project management for the Unofficial Project Manager. Claudia Reid's book isn't just for beginners. It's seen as foundational because it bridges that gap. It acknowledges the reality of the unofficial PM while offering practical wisdom that even formal professionals value deeply. So what does this all mean?
Well, I think it shows that project management skills are maybe becoming more universal, right? Less tied to a specific job title. It suggests that many of us are doing this kind of work, perhaps without realizing it, and that good foundational resources exist that speak directly to that experience, cutting through complexity.
Right. And maybe a final thought for you listening, this might make you consider, what unofficial skills are you already using every day? Things like organizing, communicating, problem solving. And could viewing those through a more structured foundational lens, like the kind Reid potentially offers, actually make them even more powerful in whatever you do?